Hey, so how many car meets are we going to this weekend?
4 that I know of.
1, 2 tomorrow.
We have PFS, we have Marconi, then we have Car Watch Sunset.
And there's 2 for the Marconi thing, so that's
okay.
5. 5 events.
And then Car Week next week.
And then Car Week next week.
That's crazy. Grind don't stop.
Grind don't stop. You gonna get tired of hanging out with your dad or what?
Not yet. I'm getting there.
You're close.
I'm not. I have my friends to keep me sane.
All right, cool. No crashing into the Lamborghini this time?
That would be a good idea. Probably.
How about the swinger? We're not gonna do that, right? You're not gonna break it in?
I'm hoping to do that. I had to check them all off the list.
All right, and I'm getting your videos up soon.
Yes.
I'm working on this weekend. I don't know when, but maybe at 3 in the morning when everybody else is sleeping.
Sick. When we finally get home.
Yep. All right.
All right, can't wait.
Have fun at your party.
I will be.
I got all the guys in black suits and Suburbans watching out, so don't do anything stupid.
Okay.
Bethany's gonna sell her car after she gets a new backup camera put in it. She wants to put it up for sale, and she's thinking about getting a Grand Cherokee. So I told her that you had a hookup at it's Jeep Dodge dealership in Costa Mesa.
Good.
So
We'll hook her up with Max.
yeah, and maybe when she's ready, it probably won't be a month or 2, but
Well, the prices should be a lot lower by then.
well, and I'm just thinking markup wise,
Going away.
yeah. So
So we'll hook her up. All right.
that's what she really wants.
We'll hook her up. Or she'll just want a Jeep Liberty.
She's not Liberty.
I'm kidding. All right. I'm gonna go film. I'll be in front. There's nothing wrong with Liberties.
Now when you're 40-some years old and you work your ass off,
All right.
take care of your family.
Woo. You're right. Right. She deserves whatever she wants. Just like you. Huh?
You haven't had a new car in 7 or 8 years.
No, she deserves it. She deserves whatever she wants. And welcome back, everybody, to another video. And today I'm going to try to make this one short. But some of you think I talk too much, but it's called watch time, people. I got to have it, or YouTube's not going to push my videos. And you guys won't watch very long, and then I don't make any money, and then I quit, and I never do another video again. So unless y'all want that, watch the whole video, like and subscribe. Now let's jump in the car and talk about these markups that we have an opportunity here to really just, I don't know, how's it go? When somebody's drowning, feed them a fire hose if they're your competitor. Well, let's look at them as our competitors and figure out how to feed them a fire hose while they're drowning. And I think we can definitely set ourselves up some amazing deals later on this year. So let's talk about that. Okay, let's get started. So this is a message to all the dealers and all the buyers out there of Dodge Chargers and Challengers and Hellcats and TRXs and Durangos and all those cars that you all want. I want to drive this point home. Hopefully the dealers see this, some salespeople see this and share this with their GMs, because watch, for the first time, I'm going to try and help the dealers. Despite some of you commenting, thinking that I was helping Max so much that I must have been getting paid off. I wasn't. Max is doing several of you already really fair deals and good deals on cars. So this is completely genuine. I tell him, do your best to sell them a car at a price that you're happy selling it for. And I tell all of you, don't pay a markup. And I'm going to tell you all, again, the same exact thing is now more than ever, don't pay a markup. But watch, here's why. I'm going to tell the dealerships, and here's how I'm going to help them. The longer you hold on to your markups, the longer you try to squeeze a markup out, the longer you try to just reduce the markup versus eliminate the markup and still greedily hold on to 5 or 10 grand when before you wanted 25 or 50, and you think you're doing us a favor by, I'm only going to take 5,000 now. Let me just tell you, the longer you do that, the longer you're going to be sitting on your cars. And critical to this story is the more cars continue to show up at your dealership, and if not your dealership, at other dealerships, raising the inventory levels on these cars. And look, supply and demand 101.
In simplest terms, the law of supply and demand states that when an item is scarce, but many people want it, the price of that item will rise. Conversely, if there is a larger supply of an item than consumer demand warrants, the price will fall.
Pricing is directly correlated and related to inventory. I am in the real estate business, and I'll tell you, if you look back to 2007, and I'll put a graph up, and the light green line that you're looking at is inventory. That was how much inventory skyrocketed onto the market. And this is, I think, a 15-year look. And you'll see that light green line in basically Southern California market, inventory in 07. And inventory was to the moon in comparison to sales, which is the red line and the dark green line down at the bottom. Sales didn't drop a whole heck of a lot. Sales bounced along for 15 years, regardless of the marketplace, at the same number of sales, or at least a similar number of sales. Yes, there were less sometimes and more other times, but for the most part, the swing was not anywhere near as crazy as inventory levels. So what drove prices down in 2007 and 2008 and 2009 until the market started to correct itself back in like 2010 and 11, 12? It was 100% tied to inventory levels. And what happened in that market in real estate was a massive amount. You all remember who were around. For you super young folks who don't know this stuff, this is a great lesson to learn that ties to every aspect of any product that's being sold. Is inventory shot to the moon. People couldn't make their house payments. Foreclosures were kicking in. People were defaulting left and right. Banks were taking homes back, and homes were coming on the market as short sales, meaning they owed $1 million, they had to sell it for $650, and that flushed a ton of distressed properties onto the market of people who had to sell, didn't just want to sell, but had to sell, which means they were competing with the next house on the market, and then the next house that came on the market would compete with the other houses on the market, and they needed to sell faster than these guys did. So they dropped the price even more, and then these guys had to catch up with them to be able to sell their house, and pretty soon we had a massive 40% decline in prices in some areas in real estate. Well, that, I'm telling you, is what's happening. It's gonna happen with the cars, and it doesn't matter what kind of car. When it's one of these pretty much, I mean, I love these things, but they're not super ultra rare Bugattis. These are mass-produced Dodges. So here's what's happening. As inventory increases, prices must fall. That is the absolute law of supply and demand. When you have less of something than there is demand, price will go up because you'll have someone always willing to pay more. We've been living through that with the people who were paying markups, and we were getting pushed out, so that drove the prices to the moon because there were people willing to do that because they believed, in some cases, some dealers lying, saying that these cars were going to go up in value. They were better investments than your 401k or your real estate or anything. Don't buy mutual funds, buy a Dodge Charger. And some of you, and I'm sorry to say this about you, were like, yeah, man, that justifies me paying 10, 15, 25,000 over. And now you couldn't get out of that car if your life depended on it, unless you paid all that in cash, and then you're just gonna lose that money. That money was just thrown in the trash. So like I shared in my last video, or 2 videos ago or so, people are defaulting on their cars, meaning repos are going to start coming more and more. We're already seeing them, but they're going to start coming more and more, adding to the supply. So what happens when you have an oversupply versus a lower demand? Prices have to adjust to get the demand to increase. If you can't get the prices low enough, then you end up stuck. And that's where we're at right now. A lot of dealers are hanging on tight to their markups, and smugly still in that mindset of saying, no, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait until we can get somebody to come in and pay the 10,000 over, 5,000 over, 20,000 over, and then you've got the buyers walking in going, Would you do it for MSRP? Which is awful generous of us, considering that prior to COVID, prior to the supply chain issues, none of us would have ever dreamt of paying MSRP. It almost never happened. Unless you're the dumbest person in the world, it never, ever happened. But then things went crazy, and now we're so grateful to pay MSRP. Let me just tell you, there will come a time, and that time will come this year, where these dealers will have held on to inventory so long, and more inventory will be piled on top of that inventory, and more inventory piled on top of that inventory. We're already seeing it to the extent that when you roll into a car dealership, a Dodge dealership, you start seeing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20, 30. You're going to see more and more of these cars. You're going to see them used in 2022 versions. You're going to see used 2023 versions that have very low miles coming back to the dealerships because the people can't afford them, or they lost their job, or something happened and they're dumping them. They're getting them back. I literally was at the dealership with Max when a gentleman rolled in his beautiful wide body Scat Pack to sell that car because he wants to buy something else. That means that car is going to be, and it looked maybe 2 years old, that car is going to be a used car on a lot again with very low miles, just a couple years old, still under warranty. And I'm telling you, all this inventory will outweigh the demand as long as we stay firm and don't pay the markups. No matter what, I don't care who it is, don't pay the markups, because inventory will rise, and the longer they hold out, the more inventory they have, and then we come in, and no longer are we going to say, I'll take it for MSRP. And this is what I think that in dealers, I'm trying to help you. This is what I think they're not thinking about, which is the longer you hold out, as soon as we realize that we've got all the cards, we're going to say MSRP, that ain't good enough. Now I want it under MSRP. And we're going to be holding firm. And guess what's going to happen? We're going to return to the good old days where we roll around in the dirt under MSRP, and they have to throw in stuff to get us. Where they were charging us $5,000 for tinted windows and Sillajet and door edge guards, now we're going to be making them throw that stuff in for free. Mark my words, I have been right on so many things so far that as long as we hang out and hold out, as long as we hold out and don't pay one markup and let the inventory balloon, that's what's going to happen. And you're going to start seeing, and we're already seeing it. I'm getting messages from people all over the country picking up special editions at MSRP. I put the messages up on one of my last videos to show you. They're picking them up at MSRP left and right. I'm getting messages from people saying, yep, somebody just backed out of their car, so they have one on the lot. There's always a story. Go watch Hemi Muscle's video where there's a beautiful red eye. By the way, congratulations, my friend, on your new 300C with the Hemi. That thing is incredibly gorgeous, all black. What a car. You deserve it, Hemi Muscle. I love this guy, love his channel. Go check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. But while he's taking delivery, there's this freaking jailbreak sitting there in the background, black wide body sitting there. And you know what the guy says? The car salesman says, 10 over, 10 over. You know what? I would say, I'm not paying anything over. And if he's only 10 over, that car is going to come down to MSRP. But if he sits on it too long, it's going to come down below MSRP. I'm telling you, we've got momentum. Cars are showing up like crazy now. They're coming off the assembly line. And now with the threats of the United Auto Workers going on strike, they're going to do everything they can to push as many of these things out before that event has the possibility of taking place. And you're going to start seeing these cars hitting the dealerships hard. And if there's markups, you need to say no. Sorry, I changed my mind. You know what? I'm just going to chill out for a little while. I don't want to pay 10, 11% for my interest rate right now. I'm good, because, you know, and when they say, well, what would it take for you to buy the car? You say, I think it's going to take, you know, $5,000 under MSRP, and then you negotiate to $1,000 under MSRP, but no longer are you paying MSRP. I'm telling you, dealers, the longer you hold on, the longer you wait for the dummy to show up and be willing to pay that, the lower you're going to have to go later. Today, you could still get MSRP. If you advertise right now, we charge MSRP, you could get rid of your inventory before more inventory shows up and still hang on to the MSRP dream. But if you keep hanging on and they keep letting these cars balloon onto the lots, you're gonna be below MSRP. So dealers, that's a little hint and a little help for you. If you think I'm wrong, watch my last videos and look what's taking place in the country right now. If you're holding on to big markups, there's a dealer around the corner saying, you know what, that was fun that we all had this deal where we were going to hold firm on our markups, but not anymore, because this guy just broke stride, that guy broke stride, this guy didn't want to have to return deposits back to people and give back the deposits, get stuck with the car. By the way, so many cars now are hitting 80, 90, 100 days on these lots. Dealers do not like sitting on those cars. They are hardcore pushing in the mornings. We need to sell X number of cars this month. Before they open up, they're telling the salespeople, you get out there and you push these cars. And if you hit this number, we're going to give you this bonus, pat on the back, trip to Disneyland, whatever it takes. But hit these numbers, get these cars, meaning they want to move them. But greed is still in there, and they still think if they hold out a little longer, they're going to get it. So I'm sorry I went on so long, but I really want to drive this point home to the dealers. Let them go. Let go of the markups. Take MSRP with a smile and be grateful for it, because we are headed back to the good old days. The good old days where you are going to come off of MSRP. Now, will power dollars come back? Who knows? I doubt that'll happen, because the margins are pretty thin on these things at this point. But I'll tell you, and there's plenty of people out there more than happy to pay MSRP, but I'm telling you, if you get too much inventory on your lot, you're going to be coming down below that. If your neighboring dealership gets too much inventory on their lot and they're willing to discount their cars, you're going to be discounting. So remember, supply versus demand. Too much of something drives prices down. Too little of something drives prices up. That's just a law of economics. You cannot get around that. It's a fact of life. It happened in real estate, and it's starting to happen slowly but surely with these cars. So with that, everybody, stay strong. Don't let FOMO take over. We've got them on the ropes. Don't give in just because you're going to put in the comments, but my dealer here is charging X. My dealer here is charging 20 over, 30 over. They're not willing to budge. Good. The longer they do that, the more they're going to have to discount later to get you to buy that car. Watch. I'm not lying to you, because inventory is going to go up because they're hoarding it. And hoarding inventory is what crushes markets. If you hold on to something so long because it's so coveted, then that thing is going to go down in value when you have too much of that thing and not enough people willing to buy it or able to buy it, which is where we're at in this economy. So thanks, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.